Good evening, everybody, and welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to ask for a few things to make sure that your stuff is on mute so we do not hear any background noise or any feeds while the presentation is going on. And I'm going to give a little intro to why we're doing this. So this is part of the No More Starving Artists Legacy Building Program. This is the part about finance. And I know that tends to sound a little bit challenging and scary, but I think it's necessary because we take advantage of a lot of things that we have in our regular day-to-day business when we work for a company, but we don't take advantage of the opportunities that are available to us if we're no longer working for a company. We don't have an HR in our company, so we're now HR. And things like insurance and mortgage and debt and those things that we kind of freak out when we hear those words. We want to kind of make that friendly for us as artists and small business owners. So I brought the professionals here to kind of go over some things, and we're going to be doing something monthly just to kind of get your feet wet and get your ears burning on a few things that you may been asking in regards to, well, how do I get started? What do I need to do? Jacques and Sabine have those answers for you. So I'm not the professional here, but this is part of what I've been wanting to do for artists. I've been wanting for them to be looking into their legacies on the financial end and on the professional end. So this is the personal side of things. So without further ado, because they have a lot to talk about, let me introduce Jacques and Sabine Felix. Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you, Trina. Thank you so much for inviting us. You know, my name is Sabine, and this is my husband, Jacques. And together we are here to answer lots of questions and do a quick presentation for you. You know, I have to say, you know, Trina has been talking about this for years. You know, been working with her ever since, even before you actually established No More Starving Artists. And I remember you talking about this very early on in this dream and the journey that you've taken. And I have to congratulate you for what you've been doing for artists throughout Palm Beach County. You know, every time I go into a restaurant or a hotel and I see one of your artists exposed, I'm like, that's Trina doing her thing, you know, and I have to commend you for it, because in our community, as artists and people who love the arts, you know, we have to be able to share the opportunities and make sure everybody has a light shining on them. So tonight, I'd like to shine a light on you for doing this.
Oh, that's so nice. She's amazing, isn't she? But I gotta tell you, for me, it's always a pleasure that when Sabine and I, we sit down and we don't try to sell clients, but we educate clients about how money works. Because the key thing is education. Once you educate someone about how money works, then they'll make better decisions. And for me, we have our financial firm, but it's more to educate people and give them the good information. And from there, we'll be able to build the type of wealth, being able to make the right decision about how money works.
I want to share a little story before we get started. I haven't always been in finance. In fact, I always thought I hated finance, right? I chose to go to law school because they promised me I'd never have to take a math class. So I was like, I'm in, I'm down for that, right? But something happened to me back in 2018. Trina knows my journey. I was diagnosed with cancer. And after practicing for 32 years as an attorney, you know, it took me for a loop. And at that time, immediately, I started thinking about my kids. We have 2 kids. And what I'd worked hard for. What do we have? God forbid something happens to me. Are we all set? And when that happened, this gentleman sitting next to me, not only has he been my life partner, but he became my voice of reason and sat me down and taught me about finance, something I never thought I'd needed to know about. And what I realized during that journey is, hey, we're okay. We're going to be fine. My kids are going to be fine, only for one reason, because he made the right choices. and he understood money. And so, during that time, I said to him, I'm like, wow, do you know how many people I know that are very smart? Because I thought I was smart. I thought I was making the right decisions, but he knew what he was doing, right? But it's not because we're not intelligent. It's only because we've never been taught what the right choices are. And so, like you said, we're really about just educating people. Trina knows all the work that I've done with her for the artists. I've always done pro bono, and only because I'm very into education. So without further ado, I think we're going to start.
Well, I got to know she's my best partner. She's really excited. And you know what? I said, you can still be a great attorney, but you know what? Let's go and educate more people. So right now, we really sit down with clients. You know what? Let's help you prepare, a good plan, estate planning. What do you need? If anything goes wrong, is everything okay? Because there's two things in life that's going to happen, something if you're young, you got to protect your income. But if you live a long life, you got to have enough money so you don't run out of money. Very, very important. And there are 3 Ds in investment. The 3 Ds are discipline, dollar cost averaging, and diversification. 3 Ds of investment: discipline, dollar cost averaging, and diversification. So it's not having a lot of money. If you're disciplined, you put $100 away every month. If you have time, guess what? You're going to have enough money for retirement. But also having that diversification, okay? Mutual funds into a fund that's going to be able to get you to get a decent rate of return. And I tell most people, education is the key.
All right, so we're going to start. I'm going to share my screen. We'll have a couple of slides up. You can take notes. Afterwards, if you want a copy, we'll share the copy with you. I have checklists that I can send to Trina that she can share with everybody as well. One of the things that we are offering are free financial plans for anybody who's part of No More Starving Artists, to kind of sit with you and give you a roadmap. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to do anything with us, but use it as a roadmap to see where you are and where you want to be in the future. Okay? So let's get started. Can everybody see that okay? Yes, okay. So
yes.
When we're preparing, and we call it financial legacy, because we have to understand that money grows money, right? And when we have an education in something, we always want our children and those after us to do better, right? To advance further than we did. And one of the things that we can learn to do in our communities is to figure out how to transfer wealth, how to transfer money to the next generation, right? To give them a leg up. So to start off, we're going to have a series of seminars or webinars with you. Topic 1 will cover estate planning. There are a total of 9 essential documents that people need for really doing the estate planning correctly. We're going to cover 1 through 5 today. And in our next session, we'll cover the remaining ones, as well as transfer of property without probate. Second topic we're going to cover today is retirement. And that will entail 401ks, annuities, mutual funds, and IRAs, both Roth and regular. And then the third one, which we probably will not get to today, but that will be covering mortgages, refinance, interest rates, and credit scores.
Nice.
Nice? All right, he likes it. Let's go. So we're going to start with estate planning, right? I mean, funny story, when I graduated from law school, the first thing I wanted to do, I learned so much, I was so excited. I wanted to prepare a will for my parents. And I went to my dad and I was so excited. I said, Dad, I'm going to do a will for you. And he looked and he said, why? Am I dying? You know something I don't know? No, It has nothing to do with
And how old is he now?
My dad is going to be 93 in a couple of months.
Still
Okay.
driving.
It's still driving. That was like 33 years ago. So I'm like, no, what are you talking about? It has nothing to do with somebody passing away. It's making a plan, right? If you know you're going to drive to, I don't know, Georgia, and you don't know how to get there, you call Siri, or you use your GPS, or you get a map, right? But you have to plan where you're going. Estate planning is no different, right? It's making a plan, because without it, it can be very complicated, lengthy, and costly. But if you plan ahead, you can avoid all those pitfalls, right? And it's the surest way to ensure that whatever you want to happen, whatever your wishes are, they will be followed. And you won't lose any of your assets to the state in the process. Okay. So the 9 essential documents are last will and testament, a trust document, which is both revocable or irrevocable, one or the other, a living will, or called also a health directive or advance directive, guardian or pre-need guardian designation, durable power of attorney, letter of instructions, beneficiary designation, a list of important documents, and last, provisions for digital assets. So like I said, we're going to cover the first 5 today. Any questions so far before we get rolling?
You're good.
All right. So the first one is a last will and testament. And that's the one that most people are familiar with, right? And basically, in this document, you speak now or forever hold your peace. Because without it, guess what? The state will decide what happens to your assets, no matter what they are. Personal, real property, money in the bank, no matter what it is. Without a directive, a will, the state will decide. Without a will or a trust, the will decide what happens to your assets.
That's bad.
It's very bad.
That's bad.
Especially if, you know,
If you have assets.
if you have a lot of assets, right? But, you know, some people think, oh, I don't have a lot of things, so I don't really need a will.
You'd be surprised.
That's not true, right? No matter what it is, you must have some sort of testamentary document, whether it's a will, a trust, or a directive, that's going to control what happens to your assets. It allows you to leave assets to certain people, family members, friends, you know, eliminate people that you don't want to get your assets. You put that into, right? Because if the state decides, let's say, God forbid, you know, you have one sibling and you guys don't get along and haven't spoken in 50 years. You don't want them to get a dime, right? Not even a penny. Well, if you die without a will, guess who's going to get it? Your only brother, and you didn't want to get a penny. Okay. You can decide who's going to have custody of your children, your pets. I've had clients who didn't have kids and they wanted to leave money to charities, No More Starving Artists, or money for their pets.
Absolutely.
Different things, right? Also real estate. You can decide, you can put in what you want to happen to your real estate. Cash, how your cash will be divided. Who will inherit certain family heirlooms, right? That watch that your uncle gave you, the earrings that belong to your great-grandmother. All these things. Without it, the state will decide for you.
Or someone will just come and take it.
Absolutely, right? They can go for sale. If you owe taxes or other things, you know, the state can take it and say, well, these bills have to be paid first. We're going to sell that heirloom to make money to pay off the creditors and whatever's left over. So all sorts of things can happen. The second document is a trust. A trust can be revocable or irrevocable. Revocable means you can change your mind anytime. Irrevocable is once you sign it on the dotted line, that's it. You can never change it. Now, the difference between a will and a trust, a will is required to go to probate. What does that mean? Go to court. And it must be submitted before a judge. The judge will make the decision as to whether that will is valid or not and decide whether the gifts that you left in that will are valid. There are fees to go to court, of course, attorney's fees, court fees, as well as sometimes probate can be very lengthy. A trust avoids a lot of that. You do not have to go to court. There is no probate required in a trust, and your trust can be activated while you're still alive. All right.
That sounds good.
It is. It's very good. Really convenient. Right. You can put all your assets in it. You can add assets to it periodically. And one of the things that I love about a trust is it's private. Nobody has to know who you left to what. Right. A will be recorded with the courts and people can get copies of it. Whereas a trust, it doesn't have to be recorded. It doesn't have to go before a court. And so whatever you leave is private. When it's irrevocable, the assets that you put into that trust cannot be taken out. But when it's revocable, you can change it just like a will. Okay?
That sounds really good.
It really is.
So why do most people have a will?
I think one of the reasons why most people, that's really a good question. People always ask that, I've seen people who have both. One of the reasons why people choose a trust more than a will, besides the money, also, you can still control your assets when it's in a trust. You can be the first trustee of your trust, and you still manage all your assets as a trustee. And once you become incapacitated, unable to manage your affairs, you will have named subsequent or successor trustees in the trust, your children or, trusted person to take over all of that.
Nice.
There was a question. Yeah, let me try to get the question.
You kind of answered it, or you answered it already. Basically,
yes.
Difference and which is necessary. So thank you.
Okay. Now, the living will is the third document. Living will is sometimes called the health directive or an advance directive. And basically what that handles is just medical issues, right? You want to name someone that will help or take over making medical decisions for you once you become incapacitated. That's important because a lot of times I've seen clients who are ill or have multiple children, and the kids are the ones that have to decide whether or not to pull a plug or things like that. Some people, I think medical care has done leaps and bounds over the last few years. I remember hearing of people in comas for years, and all of a sudden, because of a new medication that was approved by the FDA, all of a sudden they, years later, they come out of a coma, right? And so there are lots of reasons, family members don't want to put that burden on other family members to pull a plug, or they don't want family members arguing about, well, should we or shouldn't we? Or what would you want done, right? So you relieve a lot of that pressure on your loved ones to kind of decide what you want for yourself. So you name your health surrogate or health agent. They have the right to make medical decisions for you. They have the right to request a second opinion. They have the right to do just about anything when it comes to your medical care. And that also extends to aftercare as well, in terms of if you have to go to a nursing home or a rehab center, things like that. All right. The next document, and some people, so the first three, there's a choice to be made between a will and a trust. You do not need both. A will is usually cheaper. You can get it done for a couple of $100s, whereas a trust is probably $1,000 and up. However, when you get to probate, the will that you paid the least amount for will cost you thousands of dollars, but the trust avoids the probate. So what you pay for the trust up front is all you have to pay. All right. The living will, so the choice between 1 and 2, and number 3, the living will, are things that everyone should have. The pre-need guardian designation is not necessary for everyone. And really what that document does is, if you have someone who depends on you, if you have children that are minors, anything or anyone that cannot care for themselves, you kind of set the tone for who will take care of that person, who will step into your shoes and take care of that person. And always when I do these documents, I name multiple successors. You never know what's going to happen. Same thing with a trust document, right? That person that you name as a trustee may not be around anymore, may not be able to do it. So you always name at least 2 successors, okay? And the last document is the durable power of attorney. That kind of takes over where not everything else left off, right? A power of attorney can be used while that person is alive and only while that person is alive. Once the person passes, that durable power of attorney has no authority to do anything. It has no power, right? But that allows someone to do all other sorts of decisions or actions on your behalf. Pay your bills. If you're hospitalized for an extended period of time, and I hear about this all the time, nobody was there to pay the bills, money was in the account, but nothing happened. They lost the HOA foreclosed on the property, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
Lots of things like this happen, but a durable power of attorney will name someone that has the ability to take any kind of financial decisions on your behalf. Pay your bills, rent or sell real estate, oversee your investment, etc. Without this document, the court can be forced by any creditor or somebody else to appoint a guardian or a conservator to your assets. And you could be in a coma, your HOA is foreclosing on you, the court understands that there's a problem going on, they appoint a conservator who's going to get paid from your funds. So it's better to have someone appointed and named by you than to allow the court to do it. I've seen, children who have parents who are for one reason or another incapacitated. The court appoints a conservator who gets paid thousands of dollars, and by the time that child is old enough, there's no money left. So those are probably the most important. That's why I had them as the first 5. And then the others we will cover next time.
Good job.
How's that?
I like that.
Thank you. Any questions before I pass it over? All right.
We're good so far.
All right. We'll take questions at the end as well. So next, we're.
I have a quick question. Can I speak?
Go ahead,
Do
Batia.
I type it? Thank you. So the first one, when you said the living will and testament, that's what you mean by a will. Is that the same? That term is the same as a will?
Correct. Yes. Some people say testamentary documents, a will, or last will and testament. They're all the same.
And the elements inside of that, if you don't want a will but a trust instead, you write those things in your trust. Like who gets my artwork, who does this, who does that. So
Correct.
The elements inside of it are still important, but I could do it in a trust instead.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's a good way. Doing a trust, you're actually saving your heirs money and time. They don't have to go to probate, but you can cover the same information in a trust.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, my mother has a trust. My father had a will. It was like a nightmare, a long nightmare. And my mother has a living trust. She's still alive at 92, like your dad is, Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're all on, my sister and I are on her trust, and
Excellent. Very
Thanks.
good.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate
Anyone
it.
else? Okay. So next week we'll cover 6 through 9 on essential documents for estate planning, and also how to transfer property without probate, real property, that should say. Okay. And then we move on now. Let's see. So, all right, you guys, the Social Security will allow you to live well during your retirement. Anybody confident that that's going to happen? Of course not, right?
Absolutely not.
Chica's like, nope,
Not.
nope.
No.
Tanya's like, no, absolutely not. We know it's not going to happen, right? I mean, if any of you are our age, you probably remember when retirement age was like 60 and then 50 something, right? 58 or 59. Then it went up to 60, then 62, and every year it's getting later and later, right? I don't know whose fault it is, but I just know that there are a lot of people out here today who, after they retire from working their entire life, have to get a part-time job because Social Security is just not enough, right? So right now, if you're born 1960 or later, right now your retirement age, according to your full retirement age for you to get your full Social Security is 67 years old. And it's going to go up again. All right. So one of the things, I'm going to let you take this.
No, you do a good job. You do a good job.
So what we need to figure out is a way to stop relying on other people, right, to help us retire. Because the government, obviously, Social Security is it, right? Some of us were lucky enough to have worked with companies that were giving pensions and 401k, right? Like my dad and probably Batia's parents as well. My dad retired at 55 with like a full pension. So he's making more money now than he was when he was working, pretty much, right? So, but not everybody has that abilities. Companies today, especially in the state of Florida, they don't give pensions anymore.
But that is so true. There is no more pension. They may give you 401k, but the 401k is not a pension. It's just a vehicle for you to grow money. But unfortunately, most people treat that 401k like an emergency fund.
Right.
And when there's a problem, they are doing something, they take money from that. And unfortunately, when it's time to retire, they have less than 50 grand in there.
That's right. Yeah. And that's a big mistake that people make. And so we really try to discourage people from doing that, right? And so when we look at financial institutions, right, we say, you want to be an owner, right? You don't want to borrow money. So traditional institutions, we call them banks, right? You get paid, you make some money, you put it in the bank, right? My grandfather used to keep his money under the mattress, so they say. I don't know, I've never seen it because I used to check, never found it, right? But, right, everybody's taught, listen, you get a job, you make some money, put it in the bank. Now, I remember when banks used to pay like 7 or 8% interest on your savings account. Does anybody know how much money they're getting right now on their money?
Definitely not 7%.
Nothing. I think less than 1% maybe.
That's right.
Less 0.001.
Yeah, that's right. It's on a regular savings account right now, it's averaging between 0.01 and 0.04, not even 1%, which is crazy. But guess what? That's where we all put our money, right? And guess what? What does the bank do with our money?
Well, they take our money and they put it into what? The global economy. That's what they do. But unfortunately for us, we can do the same.
Right. So what's a global economy? Like, is there a way for us to bypass these banks and go directly to the global economy? What's the global economy? Anybody recognize any of these brands?
Oh.
Right? FedEx,
Coca-Cola, Home Depot,
Disney, right?
You mean Amazon isn't in the middle?
Yeah. Apple, right?
That's
there.
right. See, yep. So all of these. So imagine the bank takes your money and they invest it in all these companies, right? Now, right now, global economies, they're paying back anywhere from
10 to 12%.
10 to 12%, right? So what if I told you, instead of putting your money in the bank, if you put it in the global economy, every time you went to, what's on here, Target's on here, I think, right? Best Buy. He loves Best Buy, like kid in a candy store. Every time you went into Best Buy and you spent $100, they paid you 2 cents on that money. How would that sound? Pretty darn good, right? Now, if they told you, if you send other people there, every time they spend $100, we're going to give you 2 cents also. How many people would you be sending to Best Buy to spend $100? A whole lot, right? Because every time somebody spends $100, they gave you 2 cents. That's pretty much what the global economy is, right? It's the ability to invest and make money with multiple things. And so what we teach people is,
number one, you pay yourself first.
And you do that by setting up 3 accounts. Number 2,
eliminate your debt.
Do a debt stacking program, and where you pay, we have such a program where you pay the same amount of money for your bills, but you get rid of your debt a lot quicker.
Protect your income. And I tell most people, for me, it's the foundation of any financial plan. When I can tell someone, you know what, you borrow wealth until you can build wealth. And for us, I can tell you, we've actually have benefited by doing and making those decisions. Now I'm going to show you guys the rule of 72. Does anyone here knows what the rule of 72 is? Well, if you never heard of the rule of 72, it's going to open your mind in terms of pretty much, how money works and how you can get the most out of your money. So what it tells you, if you take 72, or you take the interest rate that you get, you divide that by 72, it will tell you how long it would take your money to double. So you take 72 into the interest rate. So 72 into 4 will give you 18. So that's 18 years. So if I put $10,000 divided by 4%, in 18 years, my $10,000 would be what? $20,000.
So also 72 divided by 12 equals 6. So that means it would take your money 6 years to double, whether it's $100 or $10,000. So
Like that.
yeah, it's pretty good, right, Nikki? Or Vatsya. So 72 divided by 1 equals what?
72 years.
So for those of you who are not getting 1% on the money in the bank, how long will it take for your money to double? It's never going to happen.
I don't think we have too many 72 years in our lifetime.
No, we don't have another 72 years. I can tell you that. I don't know. Sheikah looks pretty young. Nikki sounded pretty young, so I don't know. But I know we don't have 72 years. But, seriously, the interest rate, you have to understand how it works. It can work for you the same way it works for the banks, right? They put their money in the global economy. They get, 2 years ago, they were getting 20% on the money, and they still only gave you less than 1%, right? So they make that money. It also will work against you. And that's why you have to be careful with debt. Credit cards nowadays are 18 to 22%, but they're charging.
Can you imagine how quickly that money is doubling?
For them, not for you, right?
It goes both ways.
It goes both ways. So you have to understand how important interest rates are when you're trying to build your retirement, your legacy, and everything else. So I'm going to give you a quick example. Twin brothers, right? Grandma Moses was true to the banks. They told her, put your money in the bank and it will always be safe. And she did. Well, she did a wonderful thing. She had an insurance policy, and when she passed, she had twin grandkids, and she left the twin brothers $25,000 each. At the time of her passing, each of them were 29 years old. Well, twin number 1 said, you know what? She had it in the bank all those years, and that money was fine by me. They paid her 4%. They paid her 4% on her money, and we know based on the rule 72, 72 divided by 4 equals 18. So brother, twin number one, put that money in. And when he was 47 years, he had 50,000. And 65 years, he had $100,000. Not bad, right?
Not bad. That's pretty good.
He started out with nothing really.
So now he's
Grandma
got,
gave him 25,000, ends up with 100.
all right.
That's pretty good.
That's good, brother too.
Twin number two said, wait a minute. I heard this thing called the global economy, and you're 4%. Now, twin number one did something smart though. He said, well, I'm going to keep that money because I've got kids, but I'm only going to live on the interest, and I'm going to leave my $100,000 in the bank. So 4% a year is $4,000, and that includes $333 a month. Can anybody live on $333 a month? No, right? So brother number two said, yo, twin, that's 333, you know, good for you. You're being safe, but I don't know what 333 is going to do for you. He said, my 25, I'm going to put, and I'm going to invest it in the global economy that's averaging between 9 to 12% a year, right? And that we know based on the rule of 72 doubles every 6 years. So 6 years later, he had 50,000, another 6 years. At the age of 65, he had $1.6 million. He also has kids, also wanted to leave a legacy. And he said, well, I'm not going to spend all that money. I'm going to live on the interest only. And so at 6%, that's $96,000 a year. That's $8,000 a month. Right? The only difference between these two brothers is one of them understood how money works and how to make money grow. You know, we're not saying that $100,000 is bad, but we're just saying that 1.6 is better. Right? So I want to show you an example as to what $100 investment can do, right? So I told you my grandfather used to keep his money under the mattress, never found it, but he did have a shoebox, right? So in the shoebox, he put in $100. Oops, hold on. Hold on. So in the $100, he put in the shoebox over a 10-year period. My slides were going too fast, but let's go. Yeah, see, I can't stop it. So he put in the $100 a month for 10 years. That's $1,200 a year. That's $12,000 a year. At the end of 35 years, he had $42,000, right? But if you put it in the bank, why is it going so fast? Okay. So, but if you take $100, you put it in the bank at 2% interest, at the end of 35 years, you have $60,000. But we know how much the banks are really paying, right? In the global economy, you're averaging 12% a year. At the end of 35 years, you've got to pay $325,000.
But the best part about it is also, you do that into a Roth IRA, which is a tax-free vehicle. Look at this, you're getting $18,000 and you're going to pay tax on that. In the Roth IRA, all the gain, all the money that you made is tax-free. Because for me, I'm a big fan of not paying taxes. If you're going to invest, find a vehicle that you can get. And when you start having that growth, make that money is tax-free, a Roth IRA.
So, and yeah, we can't forget Uncle Sam, right? Because he's always going to want his share of the shoebox of the bank, right? But the mutual fund, you can't touch it. The Roth IRA. Okay, so I don't know why it's on automatic. So we're going to talk about.
Well, now that we got the fundamentals about the global economy and pretty much Social Security also. And I tell most people, retirement is gonna come. You know, at retirement, it's not an age. It's about having enough money that you can actually say, you know what, now my money is working for me. Because when you are young, you work to accumulate, you work and you save money. But at retirement, you should have enough money or your money is going to be working for you. Okay. But you got to do this really intentional. So there's a few retirement vehicles. I mean, most people know this of 401k. A 401k is the employer that actually set up this retirement account for you. So they want to give you an incentive. You know, you want to come here to work, you know what? We're going to open an investment account for you. And sometimes they match it. And I tell people, if your employer is giving you a retirement account and they are matching it, give you money, that's extra money. Please fund it to the max. Do not fund it. Okay? But those vehicles, the government says, you know what? There are some penalties, okay? Because this money, I'm going to help you save money for the future. If you take that money prior to that age, 59 and a half, there will be penalties and tax consequences. The next retirement vehicle is an IRA, and the IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account. I'm going to say again, Individual Retirement Account. So you are the one that opens your own retirement account. So even if your job has a 401k, you should also open your own retirement account, because you never know. You leave that job, guess what? They stop funding this. But if you have your own retirement account, guess what? It doesn't get disturbed, okay? The same thing also, the government gives you incentives to grow money over time. Same thing again, on the regular IRA, they give you maximum you can put per year. It's about $6,500 per year now, okay? But in a regular IRA, you come to accumulate money, but tax deferred. What does that mean? You're not paying taxes on the money right now, the growth, but when you turn the faucet on to your pension, you're going to pay taxes on that money at ordinary income. Again, on the regular IRA, it's tax deferred. You don't pay taxes on the growth as it's accumulating, but at time of retirement, when you start taking income, you're going to pay taxes at ordinary income.
Why is that important, and what difference does it make whether it's at the time you're accumulating or?
Well, on the regular IRA, if someone are in a high tax bracket, they need tax write-off, you can invest it and you can write off the money you are putting into the IRA. That $6,000 could be a write-off on your taxes. So you really pay less taxes now. But I tell people all the time, think about the Roth IRA. That's money you're growing tax-free. At the end, let's say you have $1 million or $500,000. All that money gets to be taken tax-free. That's the Roth IRA. You don't get to write it off on your taxes when you invest it every year, but at the end, all the gains that you've made is tax-free. So there is no tax on that money. So if you're making $10,000 a month or $5,000 a month for the rest of your life, when you turn that pension on, guess what? No taxes. That's a good thing. So those two retirement vehicles are key for people to have a good retirement, either a 401k from the job or an IRA, which they can open themselves. And that allows them to grow money to be able to turn it into a pension. And another type of pension also is somebody already has money they have grown, they can do what? An annuity. An annuity is a pension, pretty much, that actually the insurance company gives you a guaranteed income and they pay you, even if you want to run out of money, they still pay you every month or every year for the rest of your lives. So you grow money and then you turn it, the faucet on, and you can get an annuity.
Thanks. I think that's it.
Now, for me, Sabine and I, we are excited to share the information with most of our clients by making it fun and simple. Investment is basically something that, should be fun in terms of, wow, where does the money go? And all those mutual funds that's in the market, we do have access to them. We can sit there and show you the history. Like most people think right now, oh my God, the market is going down, nothing's down. And if you only know, that's the best time to invest because you are buying those funds at a discount. But we've been conditioned to believe when we're investing, when the market is low, oh my God, no, we shouldn't be doing that. But think about it. Would you go buy a car because it's more expensive, or would you buy a car when it's on sale? You're going to buy a house on sale, not when the price is high. Same thing with investment. But we've been conditioned to believe that, oh my God, the market is really bad. No, dollar cost averaging. You're buying those funds at a discount. And over time, when those funds come back again, because those companies that we have, they're not going to go anywhere. But those funds now grows. And guess what? You're doubling your money, 10, 12, 20%. So for us, we want to educate you and show you the best way to go and to make decisions, not about the market, about your retirement, about investment, and protecting your assets.
So one last document that we want to share, we call it the battle between the bulls and the bears, right? And it's all about the market, because only time people remember, when people remember the market, they only think about the times that it went down. Nobody remembers when it went up. And so this chart kind of shows you, right, the number of declines in the market, the number of months that the market declined, right? This side shows you what happened during the same period of time, the number of months where the market went up. So people only seem to remember, and you can go through, like I remember there was a Black Friday, right? That was in the 80s. Then during 9/11, we had 20 months. But when the market bounces back, it bounces back with a vengeance. And if you look, if people are afraid, like, oh, like right now, we have some clients that are like, oh, the market, the market, the market. But the market has been around since the late 30s. It has outperformed every time there was a down market. And so if somebody wants to look at this list, I'll share this as well. But the market has declined over this period of time, negative 26 downfall, right? But the increase has always been on the average 76%. So when you talk about the market, understand that when we say the market, you have to understand it's a long-term investment. If you go in for a quick period of time, you're not giving yourself time to bounce back when the market does turn in the green.
And the key thing for us also, I tell most people, we really want to help to small investors. Even if you want to invest as $25 a month into a mutual fund, we'll open an account for you. We're not looking just for the big investors with 100,000 or whatever it is. We really are Wall Street for Main Street. There is no discrimination in the market. That's the only place you put $100 into a fund that has $1 trillion and you get the same rate of return. Even if you got $100,000 or $10 million in that fund, and your $100 get the same rate of return. So we really want to give back and teach people how to be in a position. $100 over 30 years or $6,000 over 15 years, you can have a wonderful retirement.
So also in terms of retirement, for those of you, I know most of the artists work for themselves. You can set up your own retirement accounts. If you have employees, you can also allow, and this is something that Trina and I had talked about, having the opportunity to open your own retirement account. You don't have to be an employer with employees. You as a business owner, you are allowed to establish your own retirement account. And there are certain levels given as an owner to be able to put away more than normal people who are working at a job, right? So as a business owner, you can, I guess, feed your own retirement account to higher levels.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I know we only have 5 minutes left, guys. Thank you so much. We want to be on time.
Yes.
But there was so many.
There's a lot of information
there. But please We are here to give you information, and we appreciate you guys. And if you have any questions, you have our numbers.
Well, yeah, we still have a couple of minutes for some questions. If there are a couple of questions, I know there's some good stuff that Trina's going to talk about, a raffle. So we're going to open it up for a couple of questions and then to Trina. Thank you guys so much. And we hope this was helpful.
It absolutely was. Hopefully some of you have questions. And if you can't think of anything or you're trying to get your brain right, you can shoot them over to me and I can give it to them so they know and they can have something for the next meeting. When can I start? Unmute yourself. Wait.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. When can I start? And I can't, how do you pronounce the name? Jonah? Jonoy? Janoy, that's beautiful.
So yeah, when can he start?
As soon as possible, tomorrow, today.
We'll get you on the calendar, yeah.
Call us, we have a calendar, we can fill you in and we'll just sit down and give you some information.
Yeah, and like I said, we offered Trina a free financial plan for anybody who's a member of No More Starving Artists. So we will do a whole financial plan that you can take with you and use going forward.
And you don't have to have a lot of money. You don't need money. You just do the knowledge. And then when you have the money, you can say, you know what, I've got $100, $50.
Yeah. What were the 3 Ds?
Discipline, dollar cost averaging, diversification.
And diversification.
That's it.
That's all you need.
Discipline.
Anyone else have any questions? I see people fooling around with, I can't tell if they're trying to unmute themselves. Are you guys good? Yeah, you can type it in the, let's see, in the chat. So Sabine has her information in the chat. This was very helpful. Thank you. Thank you, Shika. I'm glad it was helpful.
I have a couple questions.
Yes, Betsy.
So just for clarification, so basically you're recommending to invest no matter how much you have in the global economy versus banks, and I forgot the other choice, but and then when you say global economy, you mean like investments, you know, like in investment accounts, right? Like mutual funds, or there's something called, I think, like for emerging and developing countries, they have something, and then also like blue chip, like you can put stocks, money in specific companies. And are these managed accounts or self-managed? I'm just learning about this stuff.
I would love to talk with you. I would love to talk with you because that's a very good question.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell most of our clients also, you don't want to worry about individual stocks because the mutual funds, we can pick whichever company that you like, whatever it is, and those are professionally managed.
Right. We don't manage them ourselves.
Professionally managed. When you get a mutual fund, it's the same way that's your job, open a 401k for you. No employees are going to go in there and they can give you based on your suitability and you know what you want to accomplish. We'll put you in a particular fund family. But because if you buy individual stocks, you know, you're going to have to start watching the market. If the stock is not doing well, you want to get out of it and things like that. That you don't want that. You want to be able to get in a fund and that has good history. I know whatever happens to the market, this fund since 1970, 1960,
so you do a variety of funds and then you decide which funds to invest in on a quarterly basis or however it works. Like, well, you're watching the funds, or it's a stable one fund or several mutual. I mean,
we partner with major companies, and I'll give you some of the names. You may know them: Lincoln, AIG, Fidelity, AXA, Franklin Templeton, Voya, you name it, they're our partners. So they have their own professional fund managers. And the global economy is, we believe that depending on your age and your risk tolerance, that's how we choose where the money is going to be. but it will be in some sort of a mutual fund. Because as opposed to investing in one stock for your retirement, if that one stock tumbles, right? That's a hard
you
pill to
wouldn't do
swallow.
that because, like
Right,
you said,
that's a hard pill to swallow. So
But is it, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, so is it in one mutual fund or is it in several mutual funds? Like say you have, I don't know, like $300. Would it be in like 3 different mutual funds, or you put it all in one mutual fund? Or
if you have $300 and let's say you're putting it one time or every month, we'll pick one fund family for you. Let's say I would pick Invesco. The Invesco fund has maybe 50, 100 companies in there.
Right.
So one fund. So you don't want, because
Yeah.
you don't want to keep going into different funds.
Right.
One fund family, Invesco, or we can put a fucking Templeton fund. One fund family, and then what you would do also, you could every month you could buy $25 a month in that fund, and we'll show you pretty much how the fund has historically done, and like that, you're going to be averaging between 10 to 12%, or or if you're more conservative, 8 to 9%. So it all depends. But we put you in one fund. But now, if you have a couple of $100,000 that you're putting in, now I can break it down to different fund families. I can put an Invesco fund, and I can put a freaking Templeton fund, because now each funds have a different history or different, risk tolerance in terms of, one of them is investing in different companies that is going to give me different rate of return.
Right. So when we say global economy, I heard you mention like foreign funds or investing in foreign countries. No, not necessarily. There are, like Invesco, for instance, has hundreds of funds. Some of them are in technology. Some people love technology, right? Some people like medicine. So they have funds that only invest in medical research. They have some that only invest in, solar energy. So they have different funds. And so we provide you with the history of the funds, like he said, based on, whatever your interests are. So if you only want to invest in green companies, we can look for that too and provide you with a list and a history of those companies.
Fatia, I'm going to ask you to send them an email or give them a call, because we have one more question from Tanya that we want to get to.
Thank you.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead, Tanya. I know you had a question. I saw your hand up.
Yes. Of course, my question just flew out my head. With all of that Basha said, I've had, I still have, funds invested through when I was working at SAU. Is it possible to, obviously it is possible, to set up another mutual fund? I would like to do that like ASAP, if it's possible.
That's a great idea. We meet a lot of clients who have had a couple of jobs in their careers, and they have funds here and funds there and funds there. Yeah, you can actually bring them all into one fund and manage them.
The key thing is you don't leave it with the employer anymore, because it's not being managed really in your interest. So what you do, you roll it over. You can actually put it back in the same fund, you roll it over. And once you roll it over also, you can still fund it if you want to. You can put $50 a month, whatever it is, but at least the fund is being, you're growing, and you're putting more money into it. So I would always show my clients, when we have the session, did you have an old 401k? Did you have something from your former employee? Yes. And that's when then you take over, roll it over into an IRA, a Roth IRA. Then you get this to be a retirement account for you, tax-free, because then you can have more control and you can grow it some more. If you got 10 years to go, guess what? Putting $100 into it every month, guess what? You're going to get a whole lot more money.
Yeah. There's a question in the chat. Did that answer your question, Tanya?
Yes, it did. Thank you so much.
Okay. There's another question about, is there a minimum amount requirement for the deposit? The minimum is $25.
Open
an investment account. Where the only company that does it, you can go to any other financial company and they'll tell you, if you don't have 150 to 200,000, they don't have time. We are actually in the business of making sure the market is accessible to everyone, whether it's $25 a month. And so with proper discipline and enough time, even at $25 a month, you'll be able to grow an investment.
And guys, again, for us, we really, like I said again, we want to give good information, and then you can make the right decision. But we have access and partner with the same companies that you go to Wells Fargo. As a matter of fact, we have a client of ours not too long ago. She's actually having an account with Wells Fargo. We met at a party, and I told her we're an advisor. And she said, you know what? I hate my advisor at Wells. Guess what? She transferred all her funds with us because we give you time, and you can call me anytime. But the same funds she had there at Wells, we look at the funds, we can put it in the same funds. But we give you information. You can call us at any time, Saturday or Sunday, you're going to find us. Thank you, guys.
All right, Trina, I think we're done. Back to you.
Okay, so Nikki, can you keep this information? Because I'll probably forget. So we have 3 winners. Anthony already pulled them because he's ready to head out the door. So the first one is for the Tiny Doors by Tiny Doors West Palm Beach, and that is Karen Hackman. Congratulations, Karen. The second one is to where we're going now, the Palm Beach show for general admission, and it admits 2 people. That one is Mayling Marquez. And the third one is a $50 gift card from Subculture Coffee, and that one is Tanya Akins. So congratulations. So I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Again, we will be doing 2 more. We're going to see if we can squeeze them in all next month. So I'll talk to them, and if you have any questions, their information is in there, so you can start getting your stuff together, before we have our next meeting. But I want to thank you all, and thank you guys. You guys were awesome as always. You were a big help, and I'll be calling you myself.
It was our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you.
All right.
And I appreciate you guys too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.